a whole lot of expectations attached to what his career would look like, who's going on to be one of the most accomplished individual and team players ever to lace them up in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. And look, for a guy who played in an offense and for a team that emphasized team over individual and had a rotating cast of characters in the salary cap area and was never, really focused on just driving up his stats because his coach's philosophy wouldn't allow him to, he got every single thing out of what he was allowed to do and what the players around him allowed him to do throughout his entire career. And the greatest compliment you can give is the fact that he elevated everyone around him to a level that maybe they couldn't have been elevated to if it wasn't for his ability in particular, which I think is the greatest compliment you can give a guy in a team setting. And he's still doing it. He's still showing no signs of, experiencing the kind of fatigue mentally or physically that usually makes people tap out at this point. So, yeah, look, I saw LT up close and personal. I'm sure you did too. Lawrence Taylor was about 25 years ahead of his time. He was ridiculous. Jim Brown, I never saw play in person. Saw video. He's legit. Jerry Rice played against him. He was a machine. Mm-hmm. These are legends. I played against Jerry Rice. Never got tired ever. Never said a word.
Well, that was my selection. When I say the greatest football players ever, the name I come up with is Jerry Rice.
But you know what? And I'll go here too. All right. Look, I played with Deion Sanders. There isn't a corner on this earth that could do what he could do from a pure coverage perspective. He toyed with people. He played with them. Like a lion plays with prey out in the wilderness. I mean, he played with people because he was bored because he was so much better than them. So just from a pure talent perspective, I mean, Bo Jackson. Yeah, of course, we're getting into a long discussion here, but I mean, Bo Jackson. If Bo had in the short amount of time that he played, not a better athlete ever, maybe to ever lace up an NFL uniform. It's a great discussion. I can see why Mr. Kraft said what he did, and you can't really argue against him. Unless you're just trying to make a case for somebody different, which we could all do, but it's really irrelevant at this point. Tom's one of those people who really, and I've tried to do this later, as he reaches the later part of his career, just enjoy what he's doing. Enjoy the fact that this guy has played at the highest level. I mean, he's playing at like a Jedi mind level right now. I mean, the guy knows and has seen every single thing. You won't. I don't believe you will beat Tom. Tom beats himself at this point because there's nothing he hasn't seen and there's nothing he can't figure out.
So you were
it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm on the bandwagon, so to speak. I respect the guy's game immensely.
So basically, you're not caught up in, well, he didn't look that great during his regular season. No. He wasn't one of the great quarterbacks during his regular season. No. I'm sorry. Let me get a bit extreme, Louis Riddick. You're not saying that he's falling off a cliff. You're not saying that either, are you? You're not doing that either.
Not like your co-host wants to do. No, I'm not doing that. I mean, Max should have known better.
How about that? Louis Riddick right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Before I get to the NFC, I got some news that I needed you to comment about. Scott Linehan, offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, is no more. According to multiple reports and multiple sources, Linehan is out as offensive coordinator after serving as the Dallas play caller since 2014, presiding over 3 rushing champions and DeMarco Murray in 2014, Ezekiel Elliott in 2016 and 2018. But he is out from the organization as the Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator. No word on how the Cowboys will replace Linehan. Your response?
I'm not shocked. Look, given what they have at their disposal and how inconsistent this team can look, especially from a passing game standpoint, you knew that that the coaching staff, meaning Jason Garrett and the owner who ultimately makes these decisions anyway, was going to look for something that would give this offense more horsepower and more diversity. Because when you watch the All-22 of the divisional round against the Rams, even though the Rams were putting it on them as far as the Rams offense versus the Cowboys defense, were really controlling the game from a physical standpoint, the Cowboys could have stayed in that game if the passing game would have been clicking because there were people running wide open. And now when it doesn't work out, as far as Dak maybe not finding the people he needs to find, or I it's hard to put my finger on. Let's just put it this way. The offense underperformed in that game relative to what the opportunities show. Someone has to take the fall for that. And he was going to take the fall. He was going to take the fall anyway, even before this, because the offense was pretty static from week to week and lacked creativity, lacked some of the things that you can take advantage of with defenses now, given how offenses have expanded their scope and what Dak can do physically as well. What he brings from a weaponry standpoint. So you know they were going to go in another direction. This isn't shocking at all. At all.
I knew you weren't. I know your class personified, so I can almost predict and anticipate your answer. But I'm going to read this statement to you from Jason Garrett right now. He says, "This was not an easy decision because of how highly we regard Scott Linehan as a football coach and as a person. He and I had some really positive, substantive, and open discussions which took place in the latter part of this week, and we ultimately agreed that it would be in the best interest of all of the parties involved if we were to make a change in this at this position. This was very much a mutual decision, and there was a great deal of common ground and shared understanding between both of us during our meetings." He said more, but I'll stop there. You believe any of that?
Yeah, if he said it, I believe it. Yeah,
there
whatever.
You go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Louis Riddick right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's get to the NFC game. You saw the Saints against Philadelphia. You saw what the Rams did against the Dallas Cowboys. Who did you walk away feeling better about?
Well, obviously because of the way in which the Rams beat down the Cowboys, you sit there and go, okay, they're not messing around. They're trying to send a message about, we're not all flash and dash. We're not all L.A. West Coast throw the ball over the yard, pretty finesse. We can play bully ball just like everyone else is starting to play in the playoffs. The Saints you already knew the Saints could do that. The Saints can play ugly ball whenever it's necessary, and they've got real good defense, and they can play a multitude of styles. I would say I was more impressed with how the Rams beat the Cowboys more so than how the Saints beat the Eagles. But I'll say this: I was down in New Orleans the first time these two met, and there's this something about I think the Saints may have gotten a little bit bored as the season went on. I don't like to say that because it's not like they're like multiple time champions or anything. But this seemed like they hit a little bit of a stale point as far as their execution and attention to detail and their intensity. I think it's going to be different in this game. I think they're going to raise the level again. I think that atmosphere down there is just hard to overcome. I think it'll be a tightly contested game that it will be a slugfest. It's not going to be an aerial show. It's going to be a slugfest. I think the Saints will come out on top of that one, but it's going to be it's going to be tightly contested. It'll be a last possession thing.
If the Los Angeles Rams had Cooper Kupp at their disposal, would you be picking the Saints still to win it on their home turf?
I still would, and I like Cooper. I remember going down to the Senior Bowl and seeing Cooper Kupp and seeing just what his skill set, how his skill set would transfer to the NFL, and it did seamlessly, beautifully. Sean integrated him into that offense perfectly. I still would say, though, like you know that atmosphere down there. You know Drew is a upper echelon, just top-notch, all-time great quarterback. Mm-hmm. You know those two running backs are legit, and they are going to come out humming. That offensive line 1 through 5 down there in New Orleans is as good as a top 5 O-line in the league. It's not top 3. And this defense, I'll tell you what, losing Sheldon Rankins hurts because he's one of the best young D tackles in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But Cam Jordan is a stud. Demario Davis is a stud. Marshawn Lattimore is a stud. And I'll tell you this, Eli Apple, for a guy who people left for dead leaving
He's
the Giants,
been balling. He's done a great job.
Absolutely. It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how when you consider the fact that these guys are human beings, and not all human beings are made for every situation, you give this guy the benefit of the doubt, you go, man, he wasn't nearly as sorry as I thought he was. Mm. This is a team, the emotion that this team plays with down there, if you're just watching a game at the Superdome, you can't help but dance in your seat. You can't help but get goosebumps when they introduce that team. It's ridiculous. I love going to that place more than any other for pregame because, legit, the people are rolling in there off of Bourbon Street, out of the bar. It's just sick down there. I just don't know if the Rams can overcome that, if they can fight off that tidal wave of emotion and all that energy down there, then they deserve to go to the bowl. I'm telling you that because this team's going to come out humming, man. That game You pay double to be in that atmosphere you'd pay double to be in that atmosphere for a game like this.
So would I. I know I would, without question. Louis Riddick, appreciate you, man. Enjoy these games, and we'll be talking to you over the next 2 weeks leading into Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta, Georgia. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, the one and only Louis Riddick right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, Peloton is a game-changing indoor cycling bike that brings the energy of live studio classes right to your home anytime you want. Winter or summer, rain or shine. Whether it's a monthly challenge to meet your goals, a training program for your next race, or setting a new personal best, the Peloton bike will make you want to show up and